and welcome to week 5, everybody. First thing I want to do is clear up some housekeeping things. I have return grades for week 2 and week 3 discussions, as well as the reading reflections handed in those weeks. All grades are returned on Blackboard. Whichever discussion-related assignment that you chose, and by discussion-related assignment, I mean anything in column B, which are the discussion posts, Twitter, or the discussion comments. Whichever one of those assignments you chose, I wrote the points that you earned in the quick comment section that's attached to the number grade that you got. The discussion posts are worth 3.3 points, and the comments are worth 1.66. Sorry for the random numbers, but you have to do 12, so the final total is divided by 12. So if you lost points on both of those, if you notice your number is lower than any of those, it was more than likely because you didn't add enough detail to your discussion post or your discussion comments. Posts should be around 300 words, and always reference from the readings, and comments around 100, and it's probably also good to reference the readings in your comment as well, or at least reference the post that you're commenting on. If you tweeted at least twice, then you earned 2 points, so I indicated that on Blackboard as well. And the reading reflections are in column A. That's something different. Those are worth 4 points each. I also returned those as Word documents with my comments and your point total on Blackboard as well. So I also note that I keep really close track of who participates each week, and this means watching the videos and doing some part of your discussion assignment. Everyone should choose something in column B, so I know if you didn't post or comment or tweet during the week, then you did not participate. So make sure that you are participating each week, because this gets factored into your participation grade as well. Make sure you're watching those videos and you're doing your discussion-related assignment each week. Other than that, the other housekeeping item is actually going to be the first thing on our to-do list for this week. It's not related to the topic of the course, but I still want everyone to do it anyway. It's called the Social Media Survey. I'm gathering some information from everyone about their backgrounds and their familiarity with using social media, like Facebook or Twitter, etc. And I'm really curious to know how familiar you were with using social media in a college class, like we're doing in EDE 201 with Twitter, or in a professional setting, like whether you use it for work or not. This is something I'm really interested in, and I'd like everyone to take the survey, even if you didn't choose the Twitter assignment, and even if you aren't particularly active on Twitter. In fact, I would really like those people to take the survey too, so I can kind of understand why perhaps that is the case, or if you have any familiarity with doing it. I really want to gather as much information as I can about whether or not using Twitter or using social media in a class is a technique that's worth continuing in future iterations of this course, and I think it might help me kind of get to know you guys better going forward in this class as well. So there's a link to the survey on Blackboard. It's going to be in our week 5 course module folder called Social Media Survey. The first page of the survey, though, as soon as you pull it up, you're going to see a lot of text there about information on a research study that I am doing with some other professors about using social media in college classes. I'm really interested in seeing how you all are using social media, and your responses to the survey, as well as the tweets you make in this class, will help me figure out what you're learning or what you're gaining or not from using Twitter in the class, and like I said, whether this is something that's worth continuing. So in addition to using that information to help me and to help my teaching, I would also like to use that information as part of a research study. Those are two very separate things. Using information to help my teaching is, like I said, for my teaching, and something that good teachers do. And using that same information for a research study is a little bit different. It requires an extra set of permission from you, which means it's actually asking for your consent. So the survey is going to ask you if it's going to ask you to participate in the survey, and then it's going to ask you if it's okay if I use your tweets and your survey responses in my research. Like I said, this is separate from my teaching. If you say yes, you do not have to do anything else. All you are agreeing to, if you say yes, is to let me study and possibly write about our experience. Perhaps quote you in a future study that I might write. Your real name will, of course, be kept private. Pseudonyms will be used in all cases. And again, you don't have to do anything additional. In fact, I'll be the one doing all the work. So all you have to do is say, yes, it's okay if you research my tweets and survey responses in addition to using it to improve my teaching. The research part of this is completely voluntary. It will not affect your grade in the class if you choose to say no to allowing me to use your stuff for my research. You're more than welcome to say no. Saying no doesn't excuse you from any assignments or any work in the class because this is separate from my teaching. It just means I won't use your survey responses and your tweets when I write about it in my research. I actually won't know who has said yes and who has said no until the course is over anyway, so it won't have anything to do with your grade in this class or your assignments in the class. It's something extra. So please let me know if you have any questions about this. I'll be happy to answer them all. I would love to have as many people as possible give consent to participate in my research study, even if you don't tweet that much, or even if you don't tweet at all. It's okay. I really would like to kind of get as much participation from anybody as I can, but like I said, that part is completely voluntary. So I'd like you to take the survey for this class, and then if you would like, click that extra button that says, yes, it's okay to use my responses in your research as well. The survey is very short, and it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. Most of the questions are the multiple choice variety or click all the boxes that apply variety. There's a couple at the end that might ask you to write a couple sentences, and you can choose to write as much or as little as you want. So it's very short. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes of your time. And again, let me know if you have any questions about the research part of this. Now, on to the topic of this week's module. In our syllabus, we're going to be talking about women's health. It's another important issue around the world. We're starting this new topic this week, and specifically we're going to be discussing women's reproductive health. A real issue in developing countries, and even in some developed countries like the United States, is the lack of child care for pregnant women and the rate of women dying in childbirth. This is a real problem in other countries, and like I said, in some cases the United States as well. So before reading Chapter 6 in Half the Sky this week, that's your reading for this week, before reading that, it's important that you have some background knowledge on a serious medical issue called fistulas. Fistulas are not strictly a female medical issue, and they don't only occur in childbirth. However, this condition happens to pregnant females in labor in developing countries at a much higher rate than in the United States. This chapter requires that you know about this, so before you read, I want you to do your own little investigation on what fistulas are. I want you to check out the website, worldwidefistulafund.org. It's also in our course module. This defines what a fistula is if you click around the site, especially in the frequently asked questions section. Then I want you to watch the 5-minute video about Edna's Fistula Hospital in Somalia. This also explains what fistulas are and describes a great, really quite extraordinary lady named Edna who is working to help women find the health care that they need. We'll read more about Edna later in the other chapters in Half the Sky, but this video does a really good job of giving you a very visual connection to the fistula condition. So it's important that you know what these are. I think it helps to know what they are before you read Chapter 6. So that's the order I'm suggesting you do this in. It's also really important to brush up on a few terms before reading Chapter 6 as well. Some of you might know these, but in addition to knowing what a fistula is, there's 2 other concepts related to women's health that you need to know about, C-sections and contraceptions. These are 2 words you're going to need to know about. C-sections are a surgical procedure where women give birth via the doctor surgically, removing a fetus from a uterus as opposed to a woman giving birth vaginally. This is typically done when there are complications with either the mother or the fetus during labor, or sometimes the doctor can identify possible complications before labor and schedule a C-section. In 2011, 33% of all births were C-section births, which is quite high compared to other areas of the world. So this is the United States, sorry. So 33% of all births in the United States were C-section births. In some of the countries we'll read about in Half the Sky, women need C-sections and they don't have immediate access to them, and this is very problematic. Now, contraception refers to any method at all used to prevent pregnancy. So contraception can be many different things, including the family planning method, which is preventing pregnancy by avoiding sex during certain times of a woman's cycle. It could mean condoms. In the Chapter 6, though, the authors use contraception and the pill, and they talk about also IUDs, which are a device inserted into a woman's uterus that releases hormones to prevent pregnancy. So they talk about those 2 methods of contraception the most, the pill, or otherwise known as birth control pills, and the IUDs the most. So make sure that you're kind of aware on what those terms are, because those will be talked about a lot in Chapter 6. So once you're ready to read Chapter 6, you're going to notice right off the bat that this chapter is actually full of data and statistics. The authors care to note, though, that statistics can have a dulling effect. Individual stories move people to act. That's one of the quotes from the book. So I'm curious to know if you find this to be true while you're reading it, if you find the statistics to be really dulling, if you find the individual stories to be more appealing. Maybe this is something you could write about in a discussion post or on Twitter. It's interesting. I want to hear why you think this might be the case. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. I want you to also think about how an increase in access to contraception might help with female reproductive care. And you're going to read about a guy named Alan Rosenfeld who helped women get access to contraception. I want you to think about how this helped. And then, since we've been talking about creative solutions with sex trafficking, I also want you to think about some creative solutions to help decrease maternal mortality that we could do. We don't have the resources to start a hospital like Edna, but think about how education might be able to play a role. Finally, the last thing we're going to do after you've watched some of the other videos and read Half the Sky, I would like you to browse through Christy Turlington Burns' website. It's called everymothercounts.org. I want you to kind of click around and find out how she's helping address female reproductive rights and maternal care. There are quite a few articles on the site, and again, personal stories, but some of them are pretty graphic in nature, so fair warning, and some of them are not all happy stories. So if you're pregnant or if you're a new mom, some of the things you might find here might be extra difficult to read, but no doubt they're going to be pretty difficult for everyone to read in some way. So just wanted to give you a little heads up. You can choose to read those articles or not. There's plenty of other things on the site, but just a fair warning. So I want you to finish with remembering that your discussion posts and your comments are due by this Sunday, February 9th, 11:59 p.m. If you choose to do a reading reflection this week, remember you only have to do 5 throughout. If you chose that assignment, you only have to do 5 throughout the course of this semester. So if this is going to be a week you choose to do that, those are also due Sunday the 9th at the same time. There's also a Women's Educational Center event this week, Wednesday the 5th during lunch, called The Gray Area, Feminism Behind Bars. It's from 12:30 to 2 in the WEC, which is in the 213 in the USEN. If you attend any of the WEC events for your assignment, if you chose that assignment, remember that you need to write a discussion post about what you learned. That needs to be a fairly decently sized discussion post. Again, I encourage everyone to tweet this week, even if you didn't choose that assignment. If Twitter's not your thing, and I, of course, will learn this from the social media survey, then you know what, feel free to comment on others' discussion posts to have a conversation, even if you didn't choose that assignment either. More conversation equals a better online course, and really any course, in my opinion. So even if you didn't necessarily choose these assignments, I think you'll learn a lot from interacting with other people at any opportunity. So have a great week, and don't hesitate to contact me with any questions about the survey, about my research study, or anything else that you need this week. So enjoy and stay warm.